Food is the new drug. It is made for us to be addicted and not nutritious. The topic of the night, man.
This will wears me out.
This
all the way around.
this
Which
thing-
we know is the true fact.
This thing is a missile. Food is the new drug. Now we can add it's made for us to be addicted and not nutritious. Food is the new drug. It is made for us to be addicted and not nutritious. What say you, Uncle Wayne?
Well, listen, you know that food has always been the new drug. We understand. People like this, you don't realize you have an addiction. People say addiction for a whole thing. A lot of people have addiction for food, and it's a true fact. It becomes a comfort. When the world is unkind, that good feeling of eating, and we eat. It's a lot of people who just are glutton. And it's bad on your health. It's bad mentally all the way around. You don't understand something. 3 meals a day was created by one more time, not us. Life is just not set up that way. People look at me and say, "Are you crazy, Wayne?" That's what society set up 3 meals a day. That's just not what you're supposed to do. I'm sorry, it's not. And they said breakfast is the most important breakfast of the day. Another lie. You know, you don't really suppose all that you eat and you, especially meat itself, it sits in the body. God set up things to be fresh because if your mind clear, you think better, you make better decisions. But greed becomes an addiction. Remember, greed is the only thing. You can never become an addict if you weren't greedy. You know, what do you mean? How can you become an addict? You weren't greedy. You kept going overboard. That's how you become an addict. That's how you become an overeater. That's another thing. Comfort zone. Eat. There's a moderation to everything. Most of us just don't care. We do whatever we want and then complain later. That's why we're in the situation we're in now. You know?
Man,
Time for a change, y'all.
It's crazy out here, man, because like if you never heard it, you heard it here first. And to be honest with you, man,
Be more for real. That's the honor.
You heard it right here on Be More For Real. You heard it right here first. Matter of fact, we're gonna give applause for that too, man. We're gonna give applause for that. You heard it right here first, man. Food is the new drug, man. It's made for us to be addicted and not nutritious. We gotta stress this to the people. You hearing this here first. I told you, entertainment and information at the same time. We gotta get this to the people because the food that they giving us is just straight up daggone their poison, man.
Start
I'm
out
telling
with the
you.
milk. Look at the milk as a child. When they say, and I don't understand this, when they say some mothers can't feed the children, I understand that, but it should be little to none. Most moms can feed their children. Think about it. Look at it. Let me go ahead and send that tape. You better understand something. They start out with the wrong type of milk. Then it's the wrong type of this. Then they had to have medication for this, medication for that, medication for this for this. Then it's certain type of food that, and then I told you the greed part. Remember when a child is young, if they're crying a lot or disobedient, the parent always push food in front of their face so they could keep them from crying.
Right.
Do you understand? That's another thing that they do. Just shove it in their face.
Right.
And that's another thing that they become addicted by just eating everything all the time.
Right. Right.
So we do. So we have to watch that. We are the first counselors of our children. But we don't start that. That's why they end up to what they are now.
Okay,
Look,
so we got a comment
all day, every day.
Really quickly. We got a comment from ANG. We appreciate you for watching. As
all
always.
day, every day.
Don't think addiction comes from overdoing it. It comes from repetition. So that's what this person's saying. We appreciate you. Shout out. Let's give you a round of applause for the comment. Let's go ahead and get our comment.
We can debate on that. You know, some comments we debate on. I had to debate on that one.
Hey.
You can do it repeatedly. You can get used to it, but that don't mean you get addicted to it. Addicted is when you overdo it. That's when you lock into addiction. Remember that. When you overdo, let's say, for example, when a person, let me give you a prime example. When I'll give you relationships, give you a prime, because people don't think that people are addicted. That is the number one addiction of all time. When you're in bad relationships, when you know that the other individual is bad for you in all the ways. But you're addicted because you want that person to be around.
Right.
You love the argument. You love all that stuff. And that whole family tell you they treat you like pure D-S-H-I-T. But yet we love that kind of abuse. It's called addictive. By being greedy. You know, you never nothing up. Same thing.
Well, my thing is, I don't mean to split hairs about addiction.
Split them.
But humans are addictive by nature. It's what you are addicted to. You either have good habits or you have bad habits. Some people have bad habits like drug use and, you know what I'm saying, or what have you. Some people really do have good habits like going to the gym, eating healthy and all that other stuff. But either way you see it, humans are habitual creatures. That's a word for you. Wink, wink. Humans are habitual creatures by nature. It's the habits that we choose to have, which is the problem. So to say that somebody is addicted to something is not far-fetched. Everybody's addicted to something. Is what you are addicted to. It's common behavior. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think we have to attack English and all this stuff, because this stuff is not clearly being said. I'm telling you on the show, people might look at me now like I'm crazy. I'm going to attack English. I'm going to straight up attack English because that's the way that we communicate. And this shit is not clear. When we be using these words, we don't know how to translate it with each other because this shit is not clear. That's why you need a lawyer to represent you in court, because the law is not clear. We should not get down like that with our people. We should have clear communication on what's expected of us, or people who are left with assumptions, and it creates violence and confusion.
But
and all
y'all
types
younger
of stuff.
generation, listen, I tell you I'm 60. Y'all younger generation have the worst communication skills ever.
Yeah, we do.
And then y'all children's communication skills is like this. That's how you communicate.
We got another comment from Anne. She said, I don't become addicted to alcohol. She said, I don't become addicted to alcohol from getting blackout drunk. I get addicted to alcohol from doing it every day, so much that I can no longer live without it.
No, see, you can break a habit. It's hard to break an addiction. You can break if you just drink every day. That's a habit. That's understandable.
And Uncle Wayne was a counselor too, so yeah, let's give it up for Uncle Wayne on that. Let's give it up. Hey, he's a mighty counselor. He is.
Let me give you some advice. A habit you can break, but an addiction.
Appreciate y'all.
Addiction is a whole different story. Addiction because you were greedy. That's even relationships. The same thing. I'm gonna tell you how a relationship is. When you don't work, you up on each other all the time. Watch this. I'm gonna say this. It becomes greed. You get used to that, but after a while, one person getting sick and tired of it. You understand? Because too much of anything is bad for you. You up under each other every day. And that's why I said, in a relationship, you shouldn't work together. That's the worst thing, to be in a relationship and work together too. It's too much of anything is bad for you, except God.
Now, I don't want to stray too far away from the conversation. We appreciate our viewers. You guys are definitely going to dictate the conversation. But what we want to talk about is food being addiction. And I mean, we could split hairs over addiction, but food being addiction is something crazy, man. I'm telling you, it's something they putting in the food. I was watching, I don't know what it was. It's a movie or something like that. And they had this chicken. If y'all know what I'm talking about, put it in the chat, man. They had this chicken.
This blew my mind.
And everybody was eating a chicken or whatever. And the secret sauce was in the chicken. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff with chicken, man. And black people consume more chicken than any other person. Let's go ahead and
wait a minute. We consume more what?
Chicken. Let's go. Let me share this really quickly, because I don't like to talk about things that I don't know about. So let's go ahead and see this. Let's go ahead and pull this up really quickly. I'm sure you guys can see this.
So blacks actually consume more chicken?
So this is by NCBI, and it's a .gov website, so we can fact check it. It said blacks had the highest annual total meat consumption at 64.2 kilograms, followed by East Asians at 53.6 kilograms, whites at 46, and Hispanics at 35. Blacks ate significantly more chicken than any other ethnic groups, and East Asians ate significantly more pork and processed meat. Regardless of ethnicity, grilling, roasting, broiling were the preferred methods, and whatever the case may be. But this is what I wanted to. If you want to read it, man, you can. Hopefully, you can see the website.
That was a myth. You know how they said black folks and chicken and watermelon.
Man, and I'm telling you, it's stuff in the chicken. I was applying for a job one day, right? And at the job, they was telling me that they was fighting against arsenic and chicken, right? and they was, I forgot what it kind of was.
Arsenic and chicken.
It kind of was like a lobbyist type of thing, because the grains and stuff that they were feeding chickens were not only making them big and all that stuff. A lot of chicken had arsenic in it, and they wanted to go to the council and all this other stuff, and they was trying to see whether or not they wanted me on the campaign, which I didn't get the job, by the way. I was probably the smartest person in there, but I was the only black person though, so I think that was the issue, to be honest with you. And this was in Baltimore, but nonetheless, I learned something from this job because they asked me to study this and what I said about this, and it was astronomical because none of them came to the fact that black people ate more chicken than the rest of them. So this is near and dear to me. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that they doing in chickens is crazy. And back in
no bull with chicken, man, look, and black.
Hold on, we got some comments. Before I get into this, we got some comments. Television said, LOL, Tyrone, the cloning Tyrone movie. Yes, that was the movie. They cloning Tyrone. That's the movie when they was eating the chicken, man. I'm telling you, they put the truth in these movies, man. Let's give television some applause for that, man. I appreciate that. I hit it right on the nose, man.
And I'm puzzled. Chicken and blacks. But you know what? Sooner or later,
and say the same thing. They clone Tyrone. Yes, we appreciate y'all. Let's give and some applause as well too, man. We appreciate y'all. We really do, man. We appreciate y'all wholeheartedly, man. It's crazy though, but you know, chicken today, right? Well, let me say this: chicken back in the 1930s, it was a delicacy, and we're talking about 100 years ago, coming up on 100 years ago, right? So chicken, it used to take at least 180 days, I think it was. Well, let's say at the least it was 112 days from the time it hatched to the time it was able to be processed for meat. It was about 112 days. Can you guess how many days it is now? It's about 47 days, I believe. 47 days. And chickens are not only bigger, they're 3 times as bigger. They have 3 times as much weight, and they grow in less than half the time. Crazy. That is crazy to think about all the stuff that they're giving us. And look, let's be more for real, because I mean, you're hearing it here first. They give these chickens antibiotics, right? And we get stuff like salmonella and all that stuff from the chickens. And the problem is that they are becoming the salmonella and the bacteria and stuff like that. They're becoming resistant to antibiotics. That's something that they're not telling us on a mass scale. We need to know this. They are becoming resistant to antibiotics. So once you eat these chickens and stuff like that, you basically are done. You know what I'm saying? Once you get sick from them and all that stuff, you're basically done, because they give the chickens the same antibiotics they give humans. And they're building up a resistance to them because you keep on giving it to them. And bacteria is now becoming drug resistant to these things. So we have to be careful as people in America. I don't know how America is allowing this to happen. What the Food Drug Administration is doing, but they have a plan, they have an intention, and that's why they had that burger day and all that stuff. Shout out to my man. Shout out to my brother. Shout out to my brother Mo. He
get off the chicken.
He told me, right? He was like, and I ain't gonna lie. He told, let's be more for real. I ain't gonna lie. He came up to me. He was like, yo, they selling burgers for 1 cent. Would you buy it? I'm like, nigga, hell yeah, right? He was like, yo, you crazy as shit, bro. He's like, yo, you crazy, because guess what? I think they trying to do something. They trying to poison people. As high as food prices is now and all that other stuff that they've been doing, why would you try to buy that? And I said, yo, that made sense. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't buy one, you know what I'm saying? But it was a lot of us who did. And we're not trying to. It was less than that. It was less than that. I mean, let's be more for real. Who know about it, man? If you know about it, you better say something. This the time to say something, because we got to talk about this, about how they might be potentially poisoning us and killing us off through all of these viruses and stuff like that. And we're not a propaganda show. We're not a show of anarchy. We're a show of straight up being more for real about our situations and circumstances and everything around us. We just got to look at it objectively and put our feelings to the side. All this stuff that we can't eat, that they poisoning us. They putting poison in the food. It's a lot of stuff we can't eat, bro. It's a lot of stuff we can't eat. It's a problem.
Pay attention. Do we do something about it? We won't. We still gonna eat it, just like you said. If it's cheap and inexpensive, of course we're gonna order it. we don't care. We want it, and guess what? We want it fast.
And see, and that's another thing too that we can be more for real about, is the black people diet. I just read the statistic. We don't. That's why I said we consume more meat than any other race. First of all, most of the other races eat vegetables and all that stuff. We consume a high amount of meat, red meat, and all this other stuff. And then on top of that, we don't eat as much vegetables and stuff like that. And the vegetables is another thing too. It's not like they haven't been poisoned and all that stuff. We can't watch out for vegetables.
We need to grow our own.
But we wonder why we having certain health problems and all that stuff. It's because of the foods, man. It's because of our diets, man. Let's be more for real, yo. Our diet is the worst. Soul food is a horrible diet, man. If you grew up on soul food, man, you need a doctor, man. You need to get your blood pressure checked. Soul food is so good.
Windmill here,
I know it's so good, man. It's so good.
But
God daggone it, man. The diet that we had was even given to us because the pig feet and all that stuff, the chitlins.
Yeah.
That was the scraps of the tables. We had to take the organs, the livers, and all that stuff. We had to make what we have do.
Make it work.
Another interesting fact about food is that white people don't season their food for a reason. Everybody want to know why white people don't season their food. I know they wanted to know, right? White people don't season their food because a lot of times they had what you call quality meat, and they wanted to. And then at the time, having seasonings and stuff was not highly accessible in the land they live in. They had to get it imported, as opposed to people that grew up in areas where spices and stuff like that naturally grown at. So they didn't live in areas and regions of the world where the spices naturally grew at. So the best thing that they had was a little bit of salt and pepper. And so it's literally in their history not to season food, especially in the northwestern Europe part, you know what I'm saying, where you can't grow a lot of stuff. It's cold almost all year round. They didn't have seasons and stuff like that. So when we see white people don't season their food, they literally do not season their food. They don't. You understand what I'm saying? And it's because of that reason. You know what I'm saying?
Now, let's flip that.
They actually have a reason why white people don't season their food.
There's another reason why we have more season on our food.
Because our food was the worst quality.
Yeah.
And we had to dress it up.
Said that.
Oh, Uncle Wayne about to go ahead and hit him. Be more for real.
Season in there so we could, we could eat it.
Yeah. So it can be edible. Man, that is a main fact, man. Look, when you talk about infotainment, it don't get no realer than this. So make sure y'all like, share, subscribe.
For real. Now, what are our solutions to this situation?
Man.
Now, that's one to think about, right? The solution.
Our solution is, well, I would say my solution is to definitely pay attention to your diet. The Bible actually lays out a diet if you don't have one, but a lot of other cultures, as well as Muslim, as well as Pan-Africans, a lot of people, they don't eat a lot of stuff. A lot of people then became vegetarians because of what they even doing to the meat and how they even treat the meat coming before you even eat and get to your plate. I mean, it's truly gruesome if you would look at the treatment that these animals were getting, and it probably would make you not want to eat meat if you had like some type of heart and you know what I'm saying, empathy for animals. You know what I'm saying? But as I digress, the solution would be to have a healthy diet. You know what I'm saying? Our diet is important. You know what I'm saying? The most health is wealth. You know what I'm saying? And in our black community, the reason why we dying off and all that stuff is not just homicides, it's heart attacks and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Our diet is killing us, man.
And broken heart.
Our diet is killing us, man. Secondary over homicide and all that stuff, more than homicides and car accidents. I'm telling you, our diet, we are the most unhealthy people in the world because we have our crazy diets that got a bunch of salt and everything, high sodium. I'm still not totally sure about MSG. I like MSG. I love MSG. It tastes really good. For those who don't know what MSG is monosodium glutamate. It's a salt, but it's more like a salt concentrate, and it gives you that savory taste that you get from your senses. You have 5 taste buds. What is it? Sour, sweet. What is it? Sour, sweet. Another one. Savory. Yeah, sour, sweet. You got savory, salty, and one other thing. You know what I'm saying? We have 5 taste buds, but the 5th one was recently discovered through MSG, which is monosodium glutamate. They take sodium and they add glutamate to it, and it intensifies. It's like a salt concentrate, just like how you got juice concentrate that came in the thing. It's not real juice or whatever. It's like juice concentrate. You add a little bit of water to it. I mean, that thing is the salt concentrate. You only need a little bit, and it brings out the flavor tremendously. I mean, I love the taste of MSG, but I'm not gonna sit here in front like it's healthy for you. I'm still.
Well, you did
not
a whole
sold on that.
advertisement for them.
Yeah.
They should love you to death.
Oh man.
I'm learning
That
what
come
it
from
is,
me
you
being a
know?
foodie. That really come from me being a foodie. And like I was saying, food is made for us to be addictive, and that's what
Yeah.
they're doing to the food. They're
And we
not
gotta
making
stop.
it nutritious. They're spraying it with all this other stuff. They're hitting them with the antibiotics and all this stuff. It's not really for us to get nutrition from. Food is actually made now that we're going to keep on buying it, and we can't live without it. That's why we live in a country full of overweight people. Food is addictive. It's the new drug. And you heard it here first. They're not even trying to acknowledge the fact that food is a drug. And let me go ahead and play this video. We're running out of time here. Let me go ahead and share this video, and we're going to be just about out of here. We're going to be just about out of here. So drop the ones in the chat if you can hear it. If you can't hear it, drop the twos in the chat. So let's go.
2 new studies explore how some of us may be addicted to food. The most addictive include chocolate, cookies, and chips. The research suggests certain types of food may attract people the same way as heroin and cocaine do. Our own Dr. Holly Phillips joins us this morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Charlie.
So what do these studies tell us?
Right. Well, both of these studies involved about 500 people, and researchers asked them about their attitudes and behavior around food, specifically whether certain foods made them act or feel in ways that go along with addiction, like losing control. And then they honed in on which foods people thought caused them the most problems.
I know potato chips had to be on the list because it is not American to just eat one. It cannot be done.
No, absolutely not surprising.
Are they on the list?
They are on the
I
list. In
figured.
fact, they're in the top 5.
Yeah,
So
I get
things
it.
like pizza, chips, cookies. And this isn't surprising. These are foods that are either heavily processed or high in fat, sugar, and refined carbohydrates. Importantly, they also have something called a high glycemic load. And this is in part a measure of how fast and how intensely the foods raise your blood sugar. That's important because that acts on reward centers in the brain and directly affects cravings.
But it's different than drug addiction, isn't it?
It is. It's really important to point out food addiction is not a recognized medical diagnosis. And in fact, the term itself is a little bit controversial. We can't equate it with drugs because, for instance, we know drugs, say heroin, permanently change the wiring of the brain. Drugs make permanent structural changes in your brain that cannot be reversed, and they build tolerance and withdrawal. But on the other hand, we do know some foods act on neurotransmitters in our brains, like dopamine. And even in studies, lab rats develop binging and addictive patterns around double stuffed Oreos. So there might be some links, but the science is still kind of out there.
How do you know if you're addicted?
Well, there's something called the Yale Food Addiction Survey. You can ask yourself questions specific. How often do you eat more than you've planned to? Do you keep eating even though you're not hungry? Do you eat to the point of feeling ill? And according to respondents in this survey, about 5 to 10% of Americans do have some amount of what they're calling food addiction.
Eat more than planned, eat when not hungry.
It's true. But you know what?
Dr. Holly, I have a problem.
No, but
I don't eat till I'm ill, but I do eat when I'm not hungry.
Yeah, and very few people feel uncontrollable
because
cravings.
Charlie, wait
around.
a second.
Yeah.
You'll see something that's just so good and you weren't planning to eat it, but it just looks so visually pleasing. You go, I just got to taste it. That never happens to you?
Not that much.
No.
Really?
You, Nora, that never happens to you?
Well, it does.
my
The
gosh.
want happens.
Yeah,
the want
exactly.
happens.
Oh,
And
but
then,
you have the willpower.
Well, yeah. But I do think there's something in cell biology and your
Yeah.
taste buds too that does change. And I think that's a very important thing to recognize because it's not just a willpower issue. There are things change in your cell the more you get attuned to certain types of foods.
Yeah, very much so, Nora. And I think you're touching on this hot button issue. That's why food addiction is such a topic now. The question is, if certain foods are addictive, do food manufacturers play a role?
Yes.
Should they be
Yes.
held accountable? We know they hire scientists to get exactly the right mix of fat and chemicals and sugar. Should they be held accountable for us eating too much?
Yeah, the brain
Damn
is a
right.
very powerful thing.
We actually did a brain series. We have to go, but we're learning so much about things like addiction and aggression in terms of the brain's chemistry.
Very much.
We appreciate that, man. We appreciate that, man. We don't own the rights to that. Let's go ahead and clap that up, man. Powerful. Infotainment at its best, man. I'm telling you, nobody gonna do it like Be More For Real. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. We're not just talking this, and we're not just making this up. You understand what I'm saying?
We're alive, we're real, and you can feel
man,
us. You know what I mean?
they said so much things in this thing, and like I was trying to say, they're not trying to say that food addiction is a thing, and they can't say it because America is basically the people that provide us with the food. Most of our foods is processed. The way that we used to get our foods is not that way. We used to at least have farmers. They had chicken coops and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? We had our own ways to do stuff. But now since the government want to regulate everything down to the way that we eat food, now you got to question, well, where the heck does it come from? What the heck you putting in this? How is it being raised and brought up? You know, now we that's why food addiction is not being labeled a thing, because they're messing with the foods and they're intentionally making it like a drug. She tried to say it don't, but they at the same time admitted that it creates dopamine effects in the body. We know that. We know that they making food that give you the same effects that they have dope. And then she told you this. Then she told you that food is more addictive than heroin and crack cocaine and all this other stuff. They said it, and we already said it too when we were talking about sugar being an addiction. If not, y'all should go back, and we already was talking about this. That's why I say Be More For Real, man. We be talking about the realest stuff ever, because we was talking about how sugar is more addictive than cocaine. People don't realize that. If you stop having sugar in your diet, just try it. You're going to have mean withdrawals, man. Mean withdrawals just by not having sugar and high fructose corn syrup. I'm telling you, they're making food to be addictive and not nutritious.
It's not meant. It can be beneficial in finances if it's no other way. They have to keep luring you in so you can keep repeatedly doing the same thing.
Right.
You see? So
right.
They suck you in.
Right.
And leave you dry.
Right.
But guess what? We know health-wise, we got to keep this body. It's a temple. We got to keep it right. You know how it is. But like a lot of times, it's that being greedy. Mm-hmm. We like that. We like to be greedy. Mm-hmm. But I never knew chicken was a bad thing anyway. I'm a still bit.
That's why I did a poll too on Facebook. Matter of fact, before we get out of here.
Again.
I did another poll on Facebook, and I asked people, do you prefer big chicken? Because it's the thing. Chicken in America are 5 times bigger than anywhere else in the world. That's a fact.
Do you like a big chicken breast?
Do you like the big chicken?
Want a little chicken? Tiny little chicken wing.
So we had about 9 votes on here, and only one person voted yes. 6 people voted no, and then 2 people said
for what? They don't like big chicken breasts.
No, they don't like, and all these people are black, by the way. The people that said no, they were black. Shout out to black people because we know better. Shout out to black people. A lot of us know better. Yo, we got to be more proud about our heritage and situations like that too. When they tell you to hate on your own self and all that stuff, you gatekeeping, man. Shout out to black people, man. Shout out our black kings and queens across the universe and across the country, man. For real, shout us out because we do great things and we need to be recognized for that.
Absolutely.
But shout out to black people because a lot of black people are skeptical. I went to places, man, and they didn't even know. I'm like, can I see a chicken? And I'm like, you got big chicken? They're like, yeah, we got big chicken. I'm like, no, that's all I need to hear. You think you trying to make a sale? You lost one.
See, I'm the opposite. Now I go there, I want a big old chicken breast. You want mine?
No, not me. No, I don't trust
it. Hot sauce and season all and salt, pepper. Let me tell you why. My diet is different. A glutton is not in my diet. So when I do want a big chicken breast, I can.
He said, when I do indulge, I might as well go all the way in. Let's get some love for that, man. Uncle Wayne,
it keeps you.
Uncle Wayne, man.
It keeps you being greedy. You know what I mean? Some of us eat all day, every day. That's why we so messed up. We eat fat and chips and Doritos and anything. I mean, we eat any and everything all day long.
Everything has to be done in moderation, but I don't trust no big chicken, and I would suggest the rest of America not to.
No big chicken breast. I love them.
No big chicken breast
with hot sauce.
But hey, man, this is coming to the conclusion. We appreciate all the live viewers.
I hate when it gets to the end,
know,
y'all.
Man, but
we gotta leave ya.
We appreciate y'all, man. We hope y'all learned something today, man. It's Be More For Real. I'm OMG Danny.
Be More For Real, Uncle Wayne.
Hey, man, come and join us next Wednesday.
We'll see you there.
We out.